Now, these are 6 reasons why Kenyans are broke. By the way, a lot of Kenyans are actually complaining that they don't have anything. They don't have anything we call disposable income. That means they don't have some money that they can dedicate it towards an investment. Actually, I was in a meeting some days ago, and people are saying, "Hey, Joseph, it's true. We love what you're telling us, but indeed we don't have money to invest. What do we do? What do we go about it?" And all those kind of things. Now, bear with me, and I'm actually gonna share with you what I found out, and I'm still finding out what Kenyans, or why Kenyans, most of them don't have money and they're broke. This is Good Joseph, and if you're a returning subscriber, thank you for your eyeballs. Stick around. Number one, I realized that, of course, is something called inflation. Inflation is actually the sense that things are increasing in terms of price, but your income is remaining constant. It's like having 2 kids. One kid who is the salary is not growing up, but the guy or the kid who is expenses, the food prices, the rents, all other kids are growing up except your salary. There was sometimes I saw that meme somewhere, somebody drawing a very tall guys, and then their brother who is the salary is not growing up. Then you realize that, let's say, maybe for example, you're watching this video and your salary has been 35K for the last, I don't know, 6 years. But in those 6 years, we can remember there was a time a 10 kg or 10 liter or whatever you may call it of all cooking oil was going for 1,100. Right now, the similar is actually going for 2,300. You can just imagine, like, literally the amount used to buy that particular oil has actually doubled, but your money is remained to be 35,000. Now, how do you actually fill this particular gap? So the major reason why most Kenyans are actually doing what? Are actually broke, meaning they don't have the cash. It is because of inflation. The cost of living is going up, and of course their money is not increasing. And if it is actually increasing in terms that the salary is being increased, you realize it's not being increased at the same rate at how much is that. What am I even saying? The rate at which your salary is being increased is not catching up the rate at which the cost of living or the cost of item is actually increasing. So you always have a more negative gap. And then you reach to a point whereby, if back then you used to save, say, 7K in a month out of the 35,000, probably you ain't gonna get this money. Why? This money is actually being channeled to the things that are actually been increased in price. And this can be detrimental and even worse if you maintain the same lifestyle. If you maintain the same lifestyle, meaning this is where you used to eat around, this is where you used to live, you're maintaining the lifestyle, but the inflation is actually going down. So there is that imbalance. What happens the moment you realize that your money is actually remaining constant, inflation is going up, you're supposed to actually revise your lifestyle. This one is the most hardest thing you can ever tell a person to do so. And actually it is the most immediate. But the thing is, revising your lifestyle or actually cutting your expenses, there is a limit that you can go. That's why it may not be the most effective, because of course there is to what extent you can actually cut your expenses. Therefore, you may not be able to create much out of you living below your means. That's why we encourage, sure, cut your expenses and also look for other areas and ways how you can maximize your return or increase the multiple streams of income if you realize these are going. This is where we say you are living a lifestyle, lifestyle, make it at least 30,000. Then there is a 5,000 being created there as a surplus. Then look at it from the point of, can I invest this money? Can I start an extra, services or small business somewhere? Or by the way, can I even buy an online course and be able to gather some skills? Maybe I can get into the cake baking. Maybe I can get into something. Just look for something that you can be able to get skills about and be able to monetize that skill, and you can be able to earn more. And therefore, that is exactly how you go ahead and do it. I saw a lady who is being employed, or who is employed somewhere. She learned a skill about making cakes and baking and what have you, very small and nice things, and then she was selling it during the weekends. And she had an arrangement of, she was living actually with her sister, and the sister was doing that business back when she was actually being employed somewhere, and then that was actually another source of income. Therefore, you can be able to expand your basket. That is reason number one: the increment in inflation or the cost of living, and of course your salary is not increasing. Reason number two that I've actually realized that most Kenyans are actually broke, and this one you may agree with me, is actually the point of showing off. See, Kenyans, they have a problem of showing off. showing off. What does showing off mean? Showing off, they spend a lot to prove the people that they don't know or even like, therefore they even spend the cash. And I usually wonder, why would you use your money on something that you don't need to impress somebody that you don't even know or even probably like in the first place? That is what we call the showing off. You say, hey, I'm not buying this because I want to show off. I'm just buying it because I want to feel good. Yeah, you feel good when people appreciate you. You feel good when people see you. And there was guys who was making some fun. He's a guy whom sometimes we, hang around, and he was telling me, Joseph, I don't know. The moment I wear, the moment I dress very nice, I tend not to, meet a lot of people all the way. The guy could just hang around somewhere in a market just to make sure that he meets the friends and what have you. Maybe the guy is on a suit. I mean, okay, it's a weird example, but I realize that most of the people are trying the best as they can to impress the others. And the others being impressed, actually, that kind of releases the dopamine hormone inside of them. Please, 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 if you are living in a lifestyle whereby you're trying to show off, trying to show people that your life is doing good to you, life is being fair to you, come on, just don't do that. That is actually very, very dangerous financially. Okay. Now, the other point that is actually most Kenyans are actually broke. It's actually because of ignorant or arrogant. Either of those two things. By the way, I find out that most Kenyans, or some Kenyans actually, they aren't ready to learn something, especially when you disturb their comfort, when you disturb the norm. They're very arrogant. Why would you tell me that? Oh, you're advising us. What do you have with yourself? Are you wealthy? Are you Jeff Bezos? Are you Elon Musk? Why would you tell us that? They're just arrogant. They're just arrogant. And then in that process, they end up, for example, I met somebody, where I live, I actually met that guy physically. The guy actually approached me and said, hey, Joseph, I actually see you on social media talking about investments. There is investments that I'm about to get into. And he explained, then I told the guy, don't even finish, that's a scam. I was like, no, how did you know? And I've not yet finished. I said, I know what I'm saying, that is a scam. It's a scam that I actually identified it like more than 10 years ago. You're getting it now, so let me just save your time and your money. Don't get into it. The guy was like, no, but I've already invested and I'm getting, so I was like, okay, fine, thank you. That was it. And the guy, I disappeared, and the guy was, we met some few several days, and then one day he gathered the courage to approach me again. He told me, hey, Joseph, you know what, I lost the money on the thing that you're telling me, or tell me, how can I sue them? I said, nah, just forget about it. You are scam. That is it. The money is gone. Just forget about it and move on. You learned in a hard way. You had an option of not learning in a hard way, but you decided to. So there's nothing I can do about it. Just go ahead and do it. So the guy was like, oh my goodness. Oh, I wish you told me, but I told you. So you find most of the people are not ready to learn. They're arrogant. They're ignorant, and that is actually causing a lot of problems with Kenyans. So you see somebody is being promised 40% in terms of your returns in a month. Where have you ever heard of that? 40% return of your investment. That's really, the person is just out there, you're so happy about the returns, you don't even care about your capital preservation. Then you go ahead and get that, then you get yourself into a problem. That is exactly what most of the Kenyans are actually facing. They're arrogant and they're ignorant. Now, the other thing, or the other particular problem or reason why I realized that most Kenyans are scammed is what we call irrelevant hope. Have you heard of something called irrelevant hope? Irrelevant hope is, there's nothing wrong with you hoping. That's why you say hope is a good breakfast, but it's a poor dinner. It is good to start with hope, but don't end with hope. When you start with hope is when you become, what do you call it? You do believe that it can actually work, it will work out, but you be intentional along the way. But you find most Kenyans actually irrelevantly hope. You are hopeful that something will actually work. You're not intentional. It's like you hoping that you'll have six packs. It's like you hoping that you don't hope for things. The things that you have to do them for you to get them. You don't just hope for something. Be intentional. Be as an individual who is out there. You're doing something about it. You're telling people that you're going to do this. Then be doing it. Just do it. That is the only way you do it. Are we together? Be hopeful, yes. Have the faith, yes. But be actionable. But do the actions. Faith without action is actually dead. That's what the Bible says. So be hopeful, but do something. So you find most of the Kenyans are just hopeful. That's why you pull in random Kenyans, you ask them, hey, what is your God? They tell you, I just want to buy a car. I just want to buy a car. And then you ask them specifically, what are the cars that I would like to buy? A big car, an SUV, and then you ask them, okay, let's go into the details of that. By the way, have you ever even wondered, have you ever gone to the Google and search how much that car would cost? No. Be intentional. Know everything. Know everything. Let them be your fingertips. Anyway, the other one about reason why I find most Kenyans are actually broke is because of what we call they don't have an emergency fund. An emergency fund is the money that you set aside just in case something happens. You can be able to do what? To service your lifestyle. An emergency fund is money meant to pay your bills. Not that is not an investment money. That is money meant to pay your bill just in case something happens. So most of the Kenyans don't have emergency fund. But of course, the emergency fund can only be gotten if you can actually live a lifestyle where there is a surplus. Either you are making more or you're actually living below your means. And of course, I've explained those 2 points. To how much you can make, this you can explore that to infinity. But there is a limit to how much you can actually do what? Sacrifice your lifestyle or live below your means. Okay? And the other one, the last one, is actually things to do with what? Emotional spending. You find most of Kenyans are actually emotional spenders. Yeah. They just spend money because it's my money. Nobody should advise me. I spend my money because it is there. I spend my money because, hey, I didn't used to have these things back when I was growing up. You don't have more and reasonable, justifiable reasons why you're actually spending your money on that particular thing. You want to buy your money because, hey, that was a tough month. You know, I need to say thank you to myself. You know, I need to live good. True, you need to live good anyway. I mean, after all, you are the asset. But timing is where we have the problem. You know, you're seeking comfort too early. People don't love this language of sacrifice. And it usually pains me to see, surely, I did not say that Kenyans are lazy. No, I actually realize that most of the people now are not lazy. They can even work 2 or 3 and 4 jobs just to go ahead and squander that money. They tend to think like money is used to spend or money is a product to be consumed rather than a tool to make more of it. I mean, if you look at that combination, you realize that there is a lot of problem that is going on, that people need to change and improve their lifestyles. Otherwise, if we continue like this, I can see it can even become a problem of the nation. And that is a problem if it happens to be a problem of the nation. This is Good Joseph as always. If you need my services, don't forget, that's my number. Pick it up there. Let's have a discussion. For now, it's a goodbye and see you the next one.